All right, so here is my review of my tonneau cover and my bed rails for the 2024 Honda Ridgeline. Reason I wanted to make this video is that when I was looking for a setup like this, there wasn't a whole lot out there of videos on the Ridgeline specifically. So I had to do a lot of research. Real Truck has everything as far as tonneau covers these days, so went through all those options, saw what was available. But there's very little as far as getting T-slot rails and the tonneau cover on the truck at the same time. So that was the hard part. So yeah, that's why I wanted to try to make this video. There were some installation issues. I've taken this tonneau cover and reinstalled it 3 times, the T-slot rails twice. So wanted to just let you know what my frustrations were and the issues I had, so maybe it'll help you make a decision and know what to do. One thing that I will say that it will help is if you find a shop that's worked on a Ridgeline before, they may know some of these issues going into it. Both of the shops that I took this to, 2 different shops had never worked on Ridgelines before. Now they have, so they know a little more, and so hopefully that will this video can help you as well. All right, so the products I have here, they're all none of this is custom, besides having to drill holes into the bed. And this is the back Revolver X4S. And so it's a rolling top cover, really nice. And one of the things that the guys at CNH Accessories will tell you over and over again that is for all, they actually have a lot of Ridgeline, different setups for Ridgeline, so they were the most helpful in kind of seeing my options. And one of the things with all the tonneau covers is that that looks like it opens all the way to me. I don't think I would notice a difference unless I took it off and compared the two. But the trunk does hit the rails right in here. As they say, it's probably about 10%. You may lose 10% of opening. But if you open the bed the other way, open it out and get in here, I think there's perfectly enough space to get in there. I don't know that I would have noticed unless they had said it, that there's a loss. But just be aware that it does, when you open it up, it does hit the rail, so you don't want to kind of pop it up too much. I do also have the bed rug, put the bed rug on here. I think it's, I just wanted something to protect it a little more. I know everyone says that the liner in here, because it's just this plastic, it just gets nicked up if you do things, throw things in here, whatever. This has been really cool so far. It just has this industrial strength hook and loop system or Velcro system. And so you can pop these up and take the whole thing off if you want to. But you can vacuum it, wash it as it's in there, let it dry. If I did dirt, I'd probably just take them out and then wash it out and then put them back in rather than having dirt on there, or put a tarp down or something. So yeah, I like those. And so that's the tonneau cover, the bed rug. Now this is a Thule T-slot rail, but any of the T-slot rails are all the same. It's just they're standard. So Yakima, Thule, or Rhino Rack. Any of the T-slot rails, they're all the same. So this is a Thule T-slot rail, but then everything else is Yakima on here. There's a landing pad, skyline tower, an HD bar, and there's an adapter you need that any of the shops that sell this stuff will know. But to get the HD bar on the skyline tower, there's one additional adapter you have right in here to be able to do that. So what I really like about this is that I wanted low profile bars, and that's what I was looking for. I've seen custom jobs or other ones at CNH where they have the taller ones. And if you're doing kayaks or something like that and you want the taller ones so that you could put it over the bed, that just wasn't my use case for it. I just wanted something lower to put like that cargo box on there, or bike racks or something where I wasn't having to get up so high to put those things. However, the guys at Rack Attack did tell me that now that we've got the rivets in here and the T-slot rail, if I wanted to go to the Yakima HD bar or the uplift rack, that the spacing of this rail, we didn't put special holes in this rail. We used the holes that were in the T-slot rail, and that if I pop this off, I should be able to use any one of those other systems with the with the screws I got and the rivets. Without having to drill new holes. So I could change it up in the future if I'm doing stand-up paddle boards or something like that. But what is cool about this system that I wouldn't have known before is, the cool thing about this system is that The Skyline towers, you just clip them out like that. That unlocks them. And then you just lift it up. So the other cool thing that I wouldn't have known is that because the locking pin is a cylinder here, and that's how it locks. So when it locks in, the pins come out and that basically locks it in place. So that allows the other one to rotate though. So that one over there is locked, and I can lift this up and just roll the cover underneath. So I don't have to take them both off. I have that side locked, this side is unlocked. The one thing I would say is that I'm 6'4", so if you're not that, and as you roll it all the way up, the roll gets taller, so you have to lift it up higher. So I have to lift it probably as high as I can go to get it to roll under, but not a big deal. If you had to get into the bed, lift up one side as you're rolling it up, you could do that as well. I need to put the straps here, so there's clip straps that clip in here and strap over the end so that it holds it in place. But now it's just super easy to get into the bed. And again, if I wanted to just take the bars off, you can just pop this side off, pop that side off, and you can just take the complete bar off itself if you want to take them off all together. So I really like these Skyline towers, and the HD bars I think are heavy duty, and I like kind of the look on the back of the truck, so I'm happy with that. Again, so I got to push this all the way up, roll it out, get that back in there. Yeah, so you can see that last part, but you basically just roll it out and push it back down, and then you're good to go. And it can open both ways, no issues there. So yeah, I really like the revolver. It's a really nice tonneau cover, so I'm happy with that. Okay, installation issues. I said I've had to install this 3 times. I've done these rails twice. And in order to get to the rails, because you have to take this off, so this has to come off. So you got to go through all this every time. And so, all right, first issue was that the Honda Ridgeline, and the reason these shops had such a hard time is because this metal underneath here is not flat. It actually comes in, it plateaus, drops 1/4 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch, and then comes in. I'm sure there's a manufacturing reason they do that. They probably drop the bed in after they've done the edge of the truck. But that just made it difficult because the first time they installed the T-slot rails, as you can see here, these 2 dots here, this rail was in further and it was right on top of that ridge. And so it was hard for the first shop. They couldn't use rivets. They tried to just drill into the metal right close to the ridge, but it ended up bowing out the metal and then screws wouldn't adhere to it. So my issue was that they installed it and they were like, oh yeah, it should be fine. And this rail was completely loose. There's 1 screw holding it all together, but if I had put anything on here, the entire thing would have just come off under any sort of weight. And they weren't really sure what to do. And so I told them, why don't we cut it shorter and move it out? But had a bad experience with that first shop, and they weren't interested in trying to fix it. So I took it to Rack Attack, and they do custom jobs. And so I was happier with them, and they did a good job helping me kind of figure this out. And again, the issue with some of these shops is they don't do a lot of ridge lines. And so now that they know better about how this is going to work and what they need to do. But basically all that means is that you can't have the full length of the T-slot rail. Now the guys at C&H Truck Accessories in Florida, it looks like from their videos they've come all the way down. And so I don't know if they've just butted the T-slot rail up to the tonneau cover as close as it could go, and maybe they're able to get the full extent. You could do that. You will have to use kind of metal shims because it's level and then it drops and then it goes over. So you have a gap basically under this plastic part. So you'd have to use metal shims and use a longer screw to go all the way to get in the middle of the truck. So that was the issue. We ultimately ended up having to, take the T-slot rails off. We patched this with some silicone, but we cut this shorter, and it's fine. I'm going to use that cargo carrier or a bike racks on here. So, I'm going to move this, I can move these landing pads, move this rack all the way back. And again, it doesn't come all the way to the back of the truck, but I'm okay with that. But just so you know, that is the limitation you're going to have to deal with, is that because of the ridge, or the kind of the plateau in the metal under this for the edge, the top of the bed, you're not going to be able to go down the center. So it does kind of limit you. You have to get creative with how you're going to do that. So that's the only issue there. The other thing I would say is that if you're handy at all, I would install the tonneau cover yourself. Have a shop go and do this part, because a shop that knows what they're doing as far as drilling into metal for cars, and they've done this and they know how to silicone it correctly and make sure it's not going to rust. I would say do that, and have them, push it out to the outside. I don't know, maybe you do need this on first, but I would say maybe install this cover yourself first. I guess then they'll have to take this off. So I don't know the best way to do it, but this, I would say both shops kind of messed this up because they didn't follow the instructions, and it's very particular about, pushing, when you're attaching things, pushing down to make sure it's square, pushing everything forward to make sure it's flush here so that all the weather stripping seals everything correctly. But I still had issues with water, and so I ended up taking this off and reinstalling it myself, and it's super easy to do. I mean, the instructions are very nice, and it's no custom drilling. They basically just fit in to the tie down points here. You need a Torx 50 bit to take these off, but then there's an adapter piece that comes with this tonneau cover that gives you all this hardware. So it just mounts itself to the tie down clamps, and basically all it does is it gives you a lip to be able to attach these clamps to and put the tonneau cover onto that. So most truck beds have a lip where you can basically clamp something in here, clamp it and get it in here. So they give you a piece to an adapter to put on these tie down joints. So no custom drilling, nothing like that. You just put that on there, clamp the tonneau cover to here. You got to fit everything right, make sure it's square. As you're attaching these, the instructions are very good. It's very simple. They just say, push it down, make sure it's flat, make sure everything's flush. One of the things I had leaking issues because you can see this, this weather stripping here, this D profile weather stripping wasn't pushed all the way to the side of the bed. So there was room for water to roll in and get down into the bed. So I had leak spots all over the sides, and I just thought it shouldn't supposed to be that way. So once I put it back together, I snugged everything up, made sure I was pushing it out against this weather strip to make sure, and now it's been a lot more, a lot less water has gotten in. Again, it's not waterproof, it's water resistant, so there's that to deal with. And the other thing too is that when the first shop installed it, in the instructions, it talks about making sure that you push this down to make sure it's square. And, just this one side, it's a truck, it's not a big deal, but this edge gashed this rubber right here. And so it was sloped down a little bit. And I didn't have any issues with locking, nothing like that, but it just wasn't right. It didn't ever do it on this side. So once I put it all back together, and again, if you pay attention to the instructions and make sure as you're, ratcheting these down, and you're pushing down to make sure everything is square and flat. Now everything is very nice. It's very, again, slim profile. It's where it's supposed to be. Both sides are even. The other thing is that, in the instructions, it says that like the line here is supposed to be even, and this comes out just a little bit. But these two rails were at different positions on both sides. So the guys just aren't paying attention as you're putting that together. And again, I don't think you would have had any issues. I certainly didn't. I did have a gap up here because it wasn't snugged up. So there was more water getting in than should have. That's why I took it apart. So it was easy enough. I would say do it yourself if you're at all handy or interested in how it is put together, so you know how to take it apart if you ever want to or need to. But it's super simple to do. And now I'm happy that kind of everything is square and as watertight as it could be. So, yep. I think that's about as good as I could have hoped for kind of a setup like this to get the tonneau cover and the T-slot rails on the bed. So I'm happy with everything. And I just wanted to let everyone know kind of those frustrations, especially just with getting the T-slot rails on there. And the one thing the first shop said is that they said that this was probably the best tonneau cover they could have thought to get for this truck, because you don't lose much of anything. Like, what is that? 1/8 of an inch, maybe, right here. So here's the inside of the bed right here. And basically, this only overlaps the bed, the top of the bed, 1/8 of an inch. So it's very little that you're losing all the way up the bed, which gives you more room to do something with these T-slot rails. So you know, if we had used metal shims and longer screws, we could have probably snugged this up and maybe come all the way down and butted it right up next to this guy. Again, you got to kind of have both of these projects going at the same time to be able to do that. But you probably would have to, if you wanted to do that, you'd have to install the tonneau cover, again, which takes about an hour. It's not that bad. Figure out what the spacing is, maybe mark a line on the plastic here, and then take the tonneau cover off, take this off, figure out where the points you're going to drill for this T-slot rail and kind of try and fit that up and snug that up, because you don't want it to interfere with the weather stripping on the T-slot rail, because on the tonneau cover, because if this is too far over, you would leave a gap here for the tonneau cover, so it wouldn't be as watertight as it could be. So, all right, thanks. Hope that helps somebody.